Are we recording? Excellent. All right, I call this February 14th meeting of the Planning Commission to order. Do we have a motion on the agenda?
I make a motion to accept the agenda as written.
Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. All right. Minutes. Any comments or questions on the minutes? Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? All right, thank you. All right, first item, Gladden Fields.
Good evening. Marion Ray with York County Planning. And our first preliminary plat tonight, we have two, is Gladden Fields. And this property is over, kind of near here, actually. It's between here and Clover, off of Filbert Highway. If you make a right on Meadow, head down past Good Road, it's on the right. And right now, the property is vacant. It has been timbered in the past. So I have created a new chart for y'all. If you have any input that you would like to see on this chart, please let me know. It is open for any kind of feedback. And it's pink because it's Valentine's Day. So zoning is RUD. There's 81 proposed lots. The total acreage of the project is 138.7 acres. They are not required to provide open space, and they did not provide open space. The tree save is 20% for a total of 28.32 acres. And here on the property, you can see there is a stream running along the right side. It is running south to north, and it goes under the bridge there on Meadow Road. And there's another stream that joins it, and they flow to the east. On the other side of the bridge is floodplain. That's as far as the floodplain has been mapped. So Cabe Road here runs through the development. Cabe Road was an existing road that came off of South Bend Road, and they were required to connect to it to have contiguous interconnection between the developments. So that road now does connect Meadow Road to South Bend Road. We'll go through the findings here pretty quickly. It's your standard private well and septic system. They are 1 acre lots. They will have to have a DHEC permit for each lot before we can do final plat. The proposed land use, single-family residential, is an allowed use. The RUD district does not have a density requirement, but I calculated it out. It's a density of about 0.58 units per acre. And there was a Tier 2 TIA completed for the project, and no improvements were necessary per the TIA. This development is accessed from the existing portion of Cabe Road, which I spoke about earlier. And Cabe Road and Meadow Road are both maintained by the SCDOT. I do not currently have information on whether or not the new section of Cabe Road is going to be maintained by SCDOT. It'll be York County for sure, though. The site is bounded on 2 sides by single-family homes on large lots, and on one side by South Bend Estates, and that's where Cabe Road's coming from. So sidewalks are not required within the development due to the proposed lot width more than 100 feet. The 20% open space is not required. It's outside the urban services boundary, and they did not provide it. They did show the tree save area with an aerial photograph, which was not included in your packet, but it was provided. And the tree save is 20% of the project, and but an actual tree survey was not required because outside the urban services boundary. They did an aerial. You have any questions for staff?
Go ahead.
Will you just remind me, because I forget. So with the 20% tree save, when it falls on then what will be private property, that still has to remain no matter who.
Yes, it's considered an easement on the property.
Okay, just double checking. And then the fact that there isn't a floodplain study past that point, is that a problem in terms of if the road will be county or not?
So our stormwater people did review what was submitted by the engineering, and they are showing a bit of floodplain. They do have the buffer along the creeks that is required. This is kind of a higher level than where the floodplain was. But you can kind of tell there's a flat area right in kind of the horseshoe there to the top. So they did have, a lot of the tree save is floodplain type area, if not completely mapped out.
Okay, just wondering. Thanks.
Any further questions of staff? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you. And then on to Lowland Meadows.
Perfect timing.
Wait for Montreal to get seated. Okay, our second one tonight is Lowland Meadows. And here in the aerial, you can see it is a largely vacant land, largely cleared, traditionally cleared for agricultural purposes. This is McConnell's Highway is to the north, Ogden Road is to the south, and this is just off the intersection of Falls and Bridgewater. That little gray area you see to the bottom right, that's the city limits of Rock Hill. So this is just west of Rock Hill. I'll go through this. Montreal, I have added a chart to everything. If you have input on what you would like to see on the pink chart, it's pink because it's Valentine's Day. Let me know if you need like information that you really like to see. So this development here is I snipped out the preliminary plat to kind of get rid of some of the busyness. I don't think the engineer's in here. The zoning is RUD1, which has the 1 acre minimum lot size. They have 46 lots. The total acreage of the site is 65.79 acres. Open space, which was not required but is provided, is at 13.70% of the parcel for 9 acres. Tree save is 20% for a total of 5.47 acres. You'll notice here on the preliminary plat, there is a man-made pond at the top left with a man-made dam. I made sure that the dam was going to be in common ownership, so the maintenance would not fall onto just 1 or 2 property owners. And then the brown sections along Bridgewater Road, SCDOT required shared driveways. So the shared driveways extend all the way across. Lot number, I'm losing my numbers, 8 or 9 with the single driveway. The lot that's on the corner of the internal road has to be accessed from the internal road, and that's what the other brown part is. The green shaded areas are the tree save areas. And here's the aerial for that. You can see outlines of the trees, what exists, and the 20% is around the edges. And again, it'll be easements on private property, but a large portion of it is on the open space. I'll go through the findings. Similar to the last one, there's private wells and septic, so they will have to have DHEC approval for each lot before, due to the 1 acre lot size, before we can do final plat. Single family residential is an allowed use in RUD1. RUD1 doesn't have a density, but it's calculated at 0.54 units per acre. A Tier 2 TIA has been completed and concluded that a 40-foot internal protected stem be constructed with the site access. That means 40 feet within the subdivision cannot be accessed by a driveway. It's to make sure the stacking and everything doesn't cause problems. So no external mitigation was required for this development. The development is accessed exclusively from Bridgewater Road, which is maintained by SCDOT and is bounded on 3 sides by agricultural uses, and the 4th side is Bridgewater. Sidewalks are not required due to the lot width. 20% open space is not required due to being outside the urban services boundary, but they did provide 9 acres for residents. And then the tree save is 20% of the project. They didn't have to do the survey, but they did do the aerial photo as shown earlier. Do we have any questions for staff?
The open space, so the way I'm looking at it, 20% of 65, how are you coming up with 5.47 acres?
You're correct. I did that calculation wrong. I believe it's actually like 15. It's a typo.
So they are doing a full 20% on the tree save. It's
Yes,
just
ma'am. The
missed
green
the tens
area
place
is,
on the,
yeah,
okay.
I just made a typo.
I appreciate they're leaving so much open space even though it's not required.
Yeah.
That's always appreciated.
Yes.
It says on the plat that the tree save area is 5.
Okay. I will verify that.
'Cause, I mean, it
that
looks
based
like they're
upon the
using the
canopy?
open space.
Not the whole, it's not based upon the entire size of the property, it's based upon
The
the
canopy,
canopy.
the actual canopy,
So
if
20% of
that's
the actual
existing.
canopy, so if you go back, of the area where the trees are, that
Okay.
acreage is calculated, and they keep 20% of that area.
That's what perfect.
That's what it is.
Okay. That makes sense. That's something to add to the chart.
Any further questions? Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve according to staff recommendations.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, that looks unanimous. On to rezoning 21-22.
All right, rezoning 2122, applicant is Hal Johnston. This is at the intersection of West Highway 160 and Powell Place Road in Fort Mill. Tax map 65310, 65324, and 65325. So the request is to rezone the 3 parcels totaling 3.5 acres from BD2 to BD3. They want to develop 2 full-service restaurants with outdoor gathering areas. So that's the location, right along Highway 160, almost across from Baxter Village. And there's the aerial showing the commercial right next door, some apartments behind it, and Baxter across the street. So the zoning shows the BD2. You see the BD3 already along the corridor. Next to the property, and ID also on the other side. Land use plans, neighborhood residential. Proposed site plan, it's conceptual. This is very likely to change, just shows the 2 restaurants and the parking and the BMP to go with it. So the land use plan shows this as neighborhood residential, 2 to 5 dwellings and variety of housing types, or for commercial uses, that could be a grocery store, pharmacy, or other neighborhood serving uses, which will be at a major intersection or adjacent to existing commercial. So we recommend approval of the request. It is neighborhood residential, and this is supportive of neighborhood residential because it is next to existing commercial, so it's just continuing the commercial along that corridor. And the full-service restaurants, unlike a fast food restaurant, would cater to residents closer in rather than people just driving through. So that's supportive of the neighborhood serving aspect of that criteria. So any questions?
I do have questions on the TIA. I know that they're looking at doing full-service restaurants, and the way it reads in here, no trips would occur during the morning. Do we know that for sure? I mean, if the restaurants operate in the morning, they would add traffic.
Apparently from the client, those restaurants that they have in mind would not be serving during the morning, would not have breakfast.
Okay.
Of course, that is subject to change down the road as restaurants go in and out.
Yeah, that's one concern. And the other one is that, and I know this has come up before, that the staff conditionally approved the TIA with required mitigation to contribute towards the cost of a traffic signal at the intersection of SC Highway 160 and Armistead Avenue. Do we know what that total cost is and what percentage, how far away we are from having all the costs we need covered for that?
Yeah, this is the first one coming through that might require a light, so we haven't got a total cost yet. But as part of the sale of the property, they made an agreement with the actual landholder of the PD next door to it that they are to pay 1/3 of the cost of the actual light. So with that 1/3 already being paid for by this developer here, as well as there are a couple of other vacant parcels that are there, that'll probably get to the point where it trips that number of trips, basically, to come in for those next couple of developments that come through. But we don't have a total cost yet at this point.
And we only have a third of the cost covered, if I heard you right.
Yeah, they'll cover a third of the cost for this one here.
Okay. I guess my big concern is being 160, we know what a traffic dream it is.
And getting worse.
And this, I mean, that's a concern that I've got.
Sure.
It pushes part of that immediately to a failing grade with no foreseeable mitigation. I mean, it's an open-ended mitigation.
I had that same concern, and in my head, one of my fixes is, can we, if we pass this as a condition, make no left turn out of the establishment?
That's how it's going to be right now. It's right in, right out. Or actually, it's left in off of 160, and then right out, but no left out. That's part of the agreement. It's already that way.
Is that written in here?
It is, yeah, it was somewhere. And
I
think
see
it's
it on
in
the
their
proposed
plan as
site plan,
well,
but I
on
didn't.
the site plan as well, and so
Yeah,
that's how
I
it
didn't-
was
I
determined.
didn't see any condition.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, there
It's
was
in
no
the site
condition.
plan that it was only going to be, and I think it was measured that way in the TIA, that there'll be nothing coming out, no left-hand turns coming out of there.
Okay. My question is, so the traffic report says there's no traffic in the morning. Okay. What would stop somebody from opening up a restaurant that'll have morning hours? The use is already there now. You know, is there anybody that will catch it, that could catch that?
We've gotten, I will say, even better about that, where some people will come in with a site plan saying it's only going to be all office, and when they come in and actually develop it, it's office and retail and other things, and so we've made them go back in there and revise the TIA and look at it again. So if that use changes, and we can tell it goes against what was previously approved, we can go back and say, you've changed your use, you've changed your intent, and go look at it again.
But regardless of what we approve, it'll cover all restaurants.
Yes.
yeah.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve with the condition for sure that there's no left turn onto 160 out of the parking lot.
Until there's a light.
Well, there won't be a light at the restaurant. There'll be a light
Okay.
down
Yeah.
a bit. And even then, there shouldn't be left turn out of the
So
restaurant.
just no left turn.
No left turn
period.
onto
Period, yeah.
160.
Okay. Do we have any further discussion? All in favor? All right, that looks unanimous. On to rezoning 22-01.
Okay, 2201 Deborah Spangenberg is the applicant, 4211 Madonna Drive in Rock Hill, tax map 43613. So they want to rezone a 1 acre portion from AGC to RUD, construct a house on the property for a family member. This property, which you'll see, does not have road frontage, and it already went to the Zoning Board of Appeals and was granted a variance for that purpose. So this is the vicinity map. You see it's that small portion there will remain, will be rezoned, and the rest stays AGC. Just an aerial showing the one house on the property right now. Environmental. Zoning showing AGC in the area. Some RUD1 fronting Madonna Drive. Agricultural future land use. The sketch of the subdivision and the proposed house, showing the driveway coming in from Madonna Drive. So future land use is agriculture, which provides for working farms and forestry, very low density residential development, and ag tourism and such. So we recommend approval of the request with the following condition. You've seen this condition before. It states that they need to subdivide the property within 90 days to prevent it from being split zoned. So the AGC to RUD is compatible because it does not impact a property that's being used for agriculture or forestry, and will result in just one new home being built. Larger parcel remains AGC. So any questions?
The easement that the driveway is on, obviously it runs over that parcel adjacent that goes to the road. Do they have a say when it came before the ZBA?
I don't know the details of the ZBA when happened, that conversation.
Okay,
I know it shows on here that there is that easement.
right,
going
you have to
through.
have an easement to get to it. I'm just curious if those owners are aware that you're gonna have now two homes using that easement.
Yeah, do we know?
Yeah, I don't know, the applicant is here, they can probably speak for that as well. But I know that they would have been notified as property owners adjacent to them.
For the
of this-
ZBA?
Of the ZBA.
Okay.
Yes, they would have heard, this is the applicant here.
If you could state your name and current address for the record, please?
I'm Brandon Spanenberg, and I reside at 4211 Madonna Drive.
Okay. So that easement, the property owners are aware of
Yes, ma'am.
what's happening there? Okay,
Yes,
I just
ma'am.
wanted to make sure they knew what was happening.
Yep, they have been made aware. We've had a conversation with them. We met with them in person, so,
Okay. Any other questions of the applicant?
yeah, well, I'm up here. Any
Okay, thank you.
questions? No? Okay.
Any further questions of staff? Do we have a motion?
I will make a motion, subject to the condition of staff approval.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. Next item, rezoning 22-02.
All right, 2202, Sean Sides, Laurie Galster are the applicants, 5062 Matthew Simrel Road, tax map 54352. Want to rezone a 7.46 acre parcel from ID to RUD. The property is residential. I forget if there are animals or there will be animals on the property. And it's zoned ID. We're not really sure why it was zoned ID historically. We don't really see an indication why. But the applicant is looking to rezone to RUD so that they can expand or continue the residential and animal keeping on the property. So this is the vicinity map. You see Hampton Ridge Road that connects to Old York Road. Hampton Ridge Road is restricted in how much development can occur. It's just a narrow road, doesn't have a right turn lane. Aerial just shows some large lot residential, a little bit of industrial kind of across the street, but the major industrial is in the city of Rock Hill on the other side of the road. Environmental, the zoning, there's ID to the south of this property, but the use of it looks to be more agricultural. There's no large buildings or trucks or anything. It's just more, kind of looks like farmland. So not really an industrial use there. And the little salvage yard is kind of across the street, and then the rest is kind of RUD along that street. Future land use is community center and neighborhood residential. Property survey just to show there's a house there. This is from 1996, so the house has been there quite some time. So as I said before, it's community center with neighborhood residential. Community center would have apartments, townhomes, patio homes. Neighborhood residential has the variety of housing types. In this case, the comp plan does not align with the request, and we're supporting it because the RUD zoning is compatible with what's there today. And we don't really see this being developed as a higher density property because of the way the road is set up. You just don't have the road infrastructure to have apartments or townhomes or whatever on this property at this point. So we're supporting this request just to kind of keep things as they are with the RUD zoning. So any questions?
Do we have any questions for staff? Do we have a motion? I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Excellent, all right. Any questions or comments on the tracking sheet? All right, hearing none, we'll take that as information. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, we are adjourned.